Board climbing is probably the most bang for your buck type of climbing that you can do to help you improve climbing through climbing. Now, board climbing simply just refers to climbing on a piece of flatness that has holds on it. You may commonly know these as the commercially available boards that are available commercially, known as the moon board, the kilter board, and the tension board too, which is a total banger. And obviously there are many other types of boards out there that aren't just commercially available. You could have your own home board if you so desire, but those are the more commonly known ones. Now, I humbly, truthfully believe that in order to make board climbing effective, you got to tilt the angle down to approximately 40 to 50 degrees, give or take. Now, this overhang is quite necessary because it allows you to do these super cool cut loose moves, which totally engages and builds good finger strength. But contrarily and ironically, it also forces the climber to climb with very good active feet so that you don't cut feet all the time. Weird, huh? And though board climbing may be looked at as a type of pure strength form of climbing, we have to remember that climbing in itself is always a technical based activity first and foremost. But what board climbing does is it brings out, and it really brings out the physical aspect of climbing as well, but it also pairs it well with the technical aspect. And now you may have tried board climbing before and you suddenly stop short because you realize that board climbing is particularly hard to get into due to the unfriendly holds and the extremely steep overhangs. And now you are 100% correct in your deductions. You cannot be particularly weak and hope to climb very hard on the board. So now you basically have options. 1. You can quit altogether and just go do some normal gym climbing. And I'm here to tell you that one isn't necessarily better than the other. In my humble true opinion, it is the amount of effort you put into anything that gives you the results, not necessarily the thing that you're doing it with. But however, I will state that board climbing just so however happens to force the climber and individual to use more effort due to the steep angles and bad holds, the need to keep the feet on the wall lest you cut and totally fall, and if you are to cut, you must totally engage your fingers to prevent your hands from slipping off of the holds. I will also say that unlike gym climbing, board climbing typically has a really safe fall zone and a very safe way of falling. Gym climbing, you could fall on high on a hard move, and you could fall in awkward positions due to the three-dimensionalness of gym climbing. And gym climbing also has this thing called coordination stuff, which is, a little bit more dangerous. But board climbing has a board and it's 2D and it's flat. And if you fall, it's normally just flat on your back or straight up. So there's a great safety aspect, even though board climbing is vastly, typically harder than normal gym climbing. Number 2, let's say you actually want to board climb, but you're just not that strong in strength yet. Here's how I would recommend you go about it, because board climbing is toasted as one of the most injury prone type of climbing that you can do. So after you warm up proper, because you're a good human being, go board climb for approximately 30-ish minutes. You're gonna select some benchmark climbs at a good level for you. For each climb, spend approximately 3 or so attempts, and then move on to the next one. This gives you a variety of climbs, avoids overuse injury, and if you're unable to do a certain climb today, you will find that as the days progresses and each time you go back to that same climb, putting in about 3 to 5 good attempts, you will notice you get better and better at the movement and you get stronger and stronger in the movement, making you a better climber. And I must remind you that I don't think I should need to remind you of that, but when you do these climbs, that those attempts that you put in should be nice, high quality attempts, so make sure you rest. And make sure, more importantly, that you try particularly hard. You should not give up just because there's no chance for you to get to the top. And even if the start feels awful, fully commit to the awful feeling. Again, effort is what produces the results of progression. Now, I have been board climbing quite a lot recently, and I discovered that I'm not that good at the 50-degree angle. And obviously the first thing I realized was, wow, 50 degrees, that's pretty hard. Second, and this is what I think is more important, was that I noticed I had to actively push down with my feet if I hope to send some of these sends. Board climbing, if I had to explain it, it's about static feet and dynamic upper body. And after a few sessions on the board at 50 degrees, I have noticed that my feet pushing down abilities has improved, but it wasn't improved passively from just climbing on it. I had to be active and mindful and say, all right, partner, you're gonna push down real hard, how hard, real hard, just like that. And the harder I pushed down with my feet and the more solid my feet became, the easier it was obviously to move my hands. Surprisingly, that's kind of how it works. Now, what happens when you're in a situation where you have to purposefully cut feet for ease of movement? That's right, you crank. When the feet escapes from beneath the body, you must apply even more force on the fingers to control the swing back. And this is excellent for training and building excellent finger strength, especially that active finger strength. But not only that, because there's also accuracy involved in terms of feet, because once your feet come off the wall, they probably should go back onto the wall. And if you're not swift enough, you will fall. And thus, so far, board climbing trains active static feet, upper body dynamics, active engagement of fingers, and even the accuracy of the feet. And the angle, as previously stated, forces you to engage all of these skills and techniques and strength very actively, lest you don't get anywhere up near the wall. Just for reference, I could climb V3 in the gym pretty mindlessly, but if I'm on the board, I gotta be active about it, just due to the nature of the steepness of the angles. Now, because you are forced to try much harder than per usual, you will notice that your fingers and your body does fatigue much quickly, which I think is a bonus, is what I mean. Normally, when I gym climb by myself, I can probably bust out 45 hours, not a problem. Since board climbing on the 50-degree overhang for approximately 45 to 75 minutes, I noticed my climbing sessions at the gym have been cut down by approximately 60 to 90 minutes, give or take. But again, I think it's a good thing, because the fatigue in my fingers are coming from high quality repetitions on the wall, not necessarily high quality success, but the high quality effort that I put in when I try to do this particularly harder moves. I also get so worn out by the end of my board session that I can't hang off 20 mil with body weight for like 10 seconds. And the thing that I really like about the board climbing is it does give you a great sense of progression, as I previously stated, that each time you go back to the board and try to climb the same climbs again, you tend to make a little bit more progress. Take this for example. First 2 sessions I tried this problem, I was totally unable to catch the cut loose move with the right hand to the right hand pinch. But remember, board climbing is about static feet and dynamic upper body. So using that, I use my big brain prowess to actively push as hard down as I can with my right foot to elevate my torso high enough so that I could reach and grab the good pinch. From there, I was able to cut my feet and hold the swing, but I wasn't just able to hold it, I had to actively engage my right hand like you would not believe, in order to prevent my body from, completely slipping off the edge. After that, I quickly reestablished my feet, and then I did this reach through move to the finish hold. Now, I'm not going front. It feels real cool to catch a hold with your body spread out like this. And to add a little bit coolness to the fact that I actually actively arch my lower back to make the movement look cooler. But also, tell me what you think. I arched my lower back, bringing my torso closer to the wall as a counterweight balancing type of ordeal. But keep in mind that I also actively kicked my feet backwards to arch my lower back, so that it creates a seesaw effect, so that my hand holding the hold is able to apply more force downwards onto it. But I also kept in mind to not completely kick my feet super far back and go completely horizontal, lest that puts my fingers in a horrible position to apply force. At least that's what I think about when I actively arch my lower back during these cut loose moves. And let's remember that trying hard also means trying correctly, because it's one thing to pull really hard and it's another to pull correctly hard. Like, take this for example, I was totally shooketh by this start move, this start campusing move. In reality, it's just a strength check, but I had the strength, I'm 100% sure I did. It's one of those moves where you're like, I'm strong enough, but I just can't figure it out. It was like that. And though it may seem very simple and it's just pull hard, I'm like, no, it's more like pull correctly, squeeze and engage correctly. But I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Which that does bring us to board climbing is a little bit more complicated than just pull hard. Like, let's take a look at this problem with this awesome start sequencing with this awesome cut loose move. But then look at this pinch match thing. It was rather absurdly hard, different and unexpected. This pinch match had me holding the pinch like this with 2 hands and fingers like this, which is really awkward. And then to get the thumb over on the pinch was hilariously difficult. For reference, this cut loose move, vastly easier than trying to wrap the thumb around the pinch. Oh, to have so many high quality hard problems in a nice compact format with safe landing that forces you to exude maximum effort, which promotes growth via climbing for climbing. Quite a marvelous, really. Now this climb with the campus move, with the right hand up campus, let me tell you, it was the epitome of maximum engagement of the hands. And I know it only looks like 3 to 4 seconds of effort once I catch the right hand, but when you engage and squeeze the water out of the wood, you live longer, because it honestly felt more like 10 to 15 seconds. I felt every motion, and climbs like these, I think, honestly build a very strong mental mindset of not quitting, of wanting. Because for this climb, if I was to simply relax for a blink of time, I would have totally fallen off. You basically go from trying hard to I want it to give me that. And I went through all those stages in this brief little interaction with the lovely wall. So overall, if you haven't give the lovely board climbing a fair shake, you most definitely should. Stop if your fingers are feeling fatigued or wonky. I know I definitely do, but of course I still go until they feel a little bit of fatigue first, of course. Don't particularly expect magic to happen unless you're casting full effort, and give it 2 to 3 weeks to see some actual progress. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, partner. What?